Hello and welcome back to this edition of Equity Insights brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I'm Dustin. We are looking primarily here today at the dollar before we kick off the new week of trading. The thing I want to look at the dollar for is because it was up over 1.25% over the entire week. And over the past 15 days, it's up over 1%. And over the past 1 month and over the past 3 months, it's up 4.54%. We can see that we did see a dip recently. The most recent high was in February. Looks like this bottom was at the beginning of March, and we've seen a acceleration of the price to a higher level. We do not see it necessarily flipping just yet to bullishness, but we do look at the price. And one of the things that I look at, so first off, with it being red lettering with the white background, that means that we've got it 3 standard deviations above its mean. And actually, the same thing that we're talking about here with this being equity and insights, this is what I would do when I'm looking specifically at the stock manager. As you can see that we have the exact same change. We have the prices 3 standard deviations above. We can see that the volume was not really high. We can see that we've gotten bullish as recently. We want to see continuation in terms of the bullishness on the day sentiment for 2 in a row now. We've seen bearishness most recently in terms of what's been sustaining. But with this bullishness, especially 2 out of the past 3, it's really curious and wants me to pay attention to see if we're going to get a higher low in the bottom of the range and a higher high in the top of the range. Be very curious. Looking back at the original model, though, I can see that specifically we can see on the 1 day, 5 day, 15 day, 1 month, and 3 month, we've gone positive, and that's been a recent change since the 19th of March is when we saw that we got that change across the entire board. Now we can see we've got some go long signals in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term. We see some bullishness in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term as well. We do want to see the bullishness be multiple 2 days in a row. So this will be what we'd expect for tomorrow, Monday. I believe that will be the 25th of March. We'd want to see it on Tuesday as well as Wednesday. So we'll be watching over the first couple of days of the week to see what happens here with the dollar. Would not be surprised to see the dollar significantly higher just because it looks like we are going that direction. We can see we have a rising bull in the rolling sentiment. On the 2 day, we are above the 50. On the 5 day, as well as on the 10 day, we're going to be rolling very quickly here. On the 10 day bullishness, we are above 63% as of tomorrow. On the 23 day, we're still hovering on that 50%, which we can see here on the indicator. Now, if we go look at the trading signals, this is why I want to make the video, is because I looked at this actually a little bit earlier. And when I see 7 of the bull key 3, that's a significant signal to me. You can see this indicator, it is really heat colored. So the more symbols or the higher the count, the darker red that you get. So seeing 7 on the bullishness on the bull key 3, we have not seen 7 anytime in recent history. Here, even on the bearishness, when it got really bearish in November, we have not really seen 7 of those, of the bull key 3 at the same time, as well as we see a small bull and a 1 month trigger bull. Significant meaning to me. Now, if we go ahead and look at the individual ranges, I am really curious because one of the things that is interesting is that we do have this gap here. So we do have a bottom, or at least a close here at 28.90. We did not close necessarily close. We've still got, it looks like about 70 cents or so, 60 cents or so to get up into that range. So we definitely would expect that this thing could make it to the bottom there. The low we'd say is at 28.86. The close is at 28.90. I'd really respect the close more than the low. If we're looking at the price, though, I am really curious to see if we make it that high. From where we're starting in terms of our sentiment, the sentiment is really around that 50% still. So because sentiment is actually kind of neutral, and even on the longer term, you can see it's essentially negative or has been negative for a while. If this move became more sustained, we could actually see significant movement in the dollar upward for a little bit of time. I don't know exactly what that's going to do to equities, but I do say that we're seeing at least a little bit of change in transition here. Now, if we look at the volatility, this is what we're going to want to watch for, is this volatility is really rolling over and the correlation is rolling over too. If the correlation is going negative and the volatility is going negative, then you're going to get a price to move sideways to up, at least for some little bit. If we're looking at it now, though, the volatility most likely has higher highs in its future, just because it's probably going to reset somewhere down here. We have seen it get down to 0.625, so we are at 0.883. Maybe we'll get lower, maybe we won't. I'm not sure, but we'll want to see what happens in the future here.